Hi, I'm Mike McGee, Content Manager at Course Report, where we help people find and choose the best courses to reach their career goals. Today, we're joined by Leonna from the Fullstack Academy Career Services team to help us understand what bootcamp graduates can expect from the tech job search in 2026. When we last spoke with the Fullstack Academy Careers team, Alicia Patterson described 2025 as a bare job market, and since then, both the hiring landscape and employer expectations have continued to shift. So, in this conversation, we'll dig into what's changed, which roles are seeing renewed demand, how long the job search realistically takes today, and how Fullstack's own success services are evolving to support graduates. Leonna, thanks so much for being here.
Of course. Hi, Mike. It's so nice to be here, and I appreciate you and Course Report taking the time to share these types of insights with those that really need it out there.
For sure. Let's get started. So, first question, tell us about your background in career coaching.
My career actually started in HR and recruiting. So very familiar with just kind of the overall job search process, from the company side. And I've supported recruiting from across various different fields, whether it's creative, tech, corporate, even supported internships before. So with all of that, I'm very familiar with developing programs around professional development and career development topics. So I've been coaching for a few years now, and I've actually been with a Full Stack officially for a little over 2 years, I want to say.
As I mentioned in the intro, when we last spoke with the Full Stack Career Success Services team, Alicia described this year, 2025, as a bare job market. What does the tech job market look like for bootcamp graduates as we head into 2026?
Yeah, so Mike, I'm not gonna lie. I think it's going to remain competitive just because the landscape is changing. So while it is a competitive landscape, I believe that there is a lot of potential for opportunities, right? Because new technologies are coming out, and therefore the demand will increase for people to help support these new technologies, right, that are getting pushed out. So I do believe that there will remain opportunities open for those interested in getting into technology.
Understood. So, are there specific tech roles or industries where you're seeing stronger hiring demand right now?
Yeah, so definitely AI, machine learning is top of mind right now for everybody. I would say that cybersecurity has also been increasing in demand. I believe the US Bureau of Labor Statistics had some stats out there that said that the demand for AI and machine learning has increased or is slated to increase for over 30% in the next 10 years. And then for employing informational security analysts, that's also close to about 30% too over the course of a decade. So I would say those areas are probably really popular in demand. I would also think that a lot of non-technical industries, maybe even spaces like manufacturing, where people don't traditionally think about technology, but they're probably looking to implement innovative ways in terms of how they run their business. So, how can they implement AI and other tech that is out there? So there might be a lot of opportunities just in areas that people aren't thinking about.
In this competitive landscape that you mentioned, what's a realistic timeline for bootcamp graduates searching for their first tech role in today's market?
I believe the conversation that you all had with Alicia, she also mentioned something around 6 months. So I would say that anything in this current market around 6 months to a year. However, that differs per person. I think every person has their own unique career journey in terms of finding their own jobs. So we've seen people of all different types of experiences that have landed jobs sooner than that. Some people that have landed jobs within that time frame. I think the most important thing is being able to get yourself set up for success by thinking about how you can leverage the technical skills that you have gained through your experiences like Full Stack Academy Bootcamp, and then all of your other previous experiences that has skills that you've gained where you can transfer it over to the area that you're trying to work in.
That's a really insightful point about, you don't start at zero everywhere. Like you're bringing in experience from a non-tech or a different tech background, and you can use that experience as well to find opportunities. So really appreciate that. After graduation, Full Stack Academy graduates can opt into career success services. So, what's one thing that changed about Full Stack Career Success Services in 2025?
So, Mike, just like to provide some more context on our career success program. We provide one on one coaching, we provide additional asynchronous resources where our graduates can take a look at those, on their own time, depending on where they're at with their job search. We also have workshops. And over this last year, we have implemented some additional tools to support our students with helping them prepare and get organized and stay accountable as it relates to their own job search process. And we've also implemented support with technical mock interviews, primarily within the web development space, and we're looking to expand on that support more across our other programs.
So, as we eventually turn the page into 2026, what's one thing, if there's more, two or three, that's be great to share, that will change with the Full Stack Career Success Services in 2026?
Again, on looking to expand our support with technical mock interviews, with our workshop topics, we're constantly reviewing and adjusting to adopt to the needs of our graduates as well, and making sure that we're providing content to support them with their end-to-end job search process, I must say. And then we are looking into identifying job seekers earlier in their journey with the program so they can receive support earlier on and just get started with that process a lot sooner. So that's definitely one thing that we're looking into. As it relates to the curriculum, we have already implemented Gen AI into our web development and cybersecurity curriculum. And we continue to review our curriculum and make sure that we're adjusting according to what the industry needs are.
That's a great point, too, about starting to introduce some of these career interventions while they're in the program. It's a delicate balance of learning as much as possible to develop the skills, but you also have an eye, a look ahead to post graduation. How long do they have access to these benefits that you provide on the team?
So our graduates have access to our career success services for up to 1 year after their graduation dates. And that includes everything that I've mentioned, from the one-on-one coaching to access to workshops to the asynchronous material, as well as access to alumni events where we feature Full Stack Academy alumni, industry experts, and sometimes our employer partners as well.
So, what are employers looking for in early career candidates as we go into 2026? Skills, projects, soft skills, specific certifications,
Yeah.
and based on what they're looking for, how is Full Stack Academy adapting the curricula to prepare students for those roles?
That's a great question. So, employers are seeking, especially for those who are earlier in their career, not only the work that you've done on the technical side, right? They want to be able to see skills such as adaptability, your problem solving skills, your drive, understanding that you're early on in your career, understanding where you can fit in to the overall business impact of the work that they're trying to do. So I think being able to communicate what you bring to the table, not only on the technical side, but also, as you mentioned, those soft skills are really important. And you can demonstrate that through your educational experiences, through projects. And those are all things that Full Stack Academy supports our students with as part of our curriculum and their learning journey. Not only are they, gaining the education from our wonderful instructors, but they are also working on a real life relevant project topics too, that they can also include on their resume and their portfolio. And then the bootcamp also supports students with preparing them for industry recognized certifications as well. So that would differ, depending on the type of discipline that you're a part of.
Appreciate that answer. So we've talked about skill diversity, having the balance of technical skills with the non-technical skills, soft skills. Switching over to, say, you're a qualified candidate, but it's such a large pool, it's a competitive landscape. What job search tactics are working best for bootcamp grads right now? And is there anything that you predict going into 2026?
So I would say continuing to emphasize on networking, growing your network, building connections, and staying visible. So, it's not just about submitting those applications anymore. I think that people can see how you might contribute on paper, but what they want to know is who are you beyond the paper application, right? Or the digital paper application, I must say. What else do you have to offer? So I love what you touched on earlier about how it's not just about the technical skills, it's about bringing in your soft skills, wherever that might come from, even if you don't have a technical background. So I'm all for not like hiding any of your previous experience. It's about how can you merge what the experiences and the skills that you've gained in the past, how can you merge that and make that connection to where you want to go in the future? So being able to communicate that effectively, I think will be very, very important during the job search process and as we head into the future.
Excellent insight there about not hiding who you are and finding opportunities to communicate the value of those other skill sets and demonstrating that. So, with increasing that visibility, are you seeing new platforms or communities where grads are finding opportunities outside the traditional job boards or social networks?
I believe there's a platform and community for almost anything. Like, it might not even be, just like a tech community, right? It could go down to something that's industry specific. Like, if you're interested in, I don't know, for example, the gaming industry, there's lots of communities out there that's specific to that industry. And even down to communities that are tied to really specific technical skills, like Python, SQL. So there are really specific communities centered around those skills as well, and even more. So I think you could get really creative with how you connect with people and grow your network. And that would be an excellent way to stay visible and to get people to, at the end of the day, advocate for you in the job market. I think another thing that's important, so not just growing your connections, but maintaining consistency with working on your projects and keeping your skills relevant and up to date. So I think that's where I'm looking at open source contributions. So places like GitHub would also be really helpful and important in terms of growing your skills and growing your network and how you're contributing to the overall tech community. There's also communities that you can find on digital platforms like Discord and Slack that I think you can communicate with other industry professionals too and collaborate with people in that way. And then of course participating in hackathons. I feel like maybe that's not talked about as much, but I think that's also a great way to upskill, add more projects and experience to your resume, and also network and meet other people that are in the areas that you want to be in.
Couldn't agree more about hackathon participation. It's kind of like a 2 or 3 for 1 there. You get to
Mhm.
upskill, you get to meet new people that are like-minded, and chances are their network is an opportunity to connect with you and advocacy, and that's a big part of getting a leg into a company or breaking into the industry, is having someone who's already established advocate for your candidacy there. So thank you for sharing that. We're on this kind of advice theme here. So
Mhm.
if you could give one piece of advice to someone entering the tech job market in 2026, what would it be?
I like to call it my 3 C's, like the letter C. So the first one is connection. So you and I, we talked a lot about growing your network and building connection, and that really is key. Knowing that the landscape is competitive, you don't know what your competition might look like, right? So going back to advocacy, building those connections, building those relationships with people who can advocate for you as a potential employee anywhere, I think will be really important in helping you progress in your job search. And it might not yield to an immediate reward, right, when you're networking with someone, but you never know where those relationships will go, and you never know who other people might who other people might know and who they might be talking to about their experience having that conversation with you. The other one is communication. So earlier we talked about effectively communicating what you bring to the table, not only from a technical side, but all of your non-technical skills. So what makes you unique as a candidate? What's that unique perspective that you bring to the table? So a lot of the times I have found for those that are breaking into the tech industry, they're very focused on what they don't have yet. So they're looking at jobs, they're like, I don't have this yet. So I like to empower people to focus on what they do have instead, right? Because there isn't really anything you can do about what you don't have. Right. So now it's about making that connection with your potential future employer for them to understand how your prior experiences can still help them become successful as a business. The last one is consistency. So going back to making sure that the boot camp experience isn't your only technical experience. No matter how long that job search process might take, you want to make sure that you're staying relevant in terms of upskilling, you're keeping up to date with, what's happening in the industry, what kind of tools are important in the areas that you're interested in, and just staying consistent so that you have something to put, something recent and relevant also to put on your resume.
Those are key insights there, and they might not directly or immediately lead to a job, but who knows down the road that could turn into something bigger than just trying to get your first job in the industry. Same for the open source projects and kind of just developing. You're just continuing to grow your skill set, and that can be helpful in many ways. So really appreciate that advice. All right. Final question. What makes you optimistic about the year ahead for career changers entering tech?
Yeah, of course. I think that is a great question and an interesting one, given the current technical landscape and job market. So, with the increase in demand across certain technical areas, I believe that there is a lot of potential for more opportunities. And I think with the increase in demand, supply, right, will be needed in order to meet those demands. And that supply are future candidates who can fill those roles. So with that, I think that, there's a lot of potential and potential for change in terms of how employers and hiring managers might be looking at candidates, right? What kind of skills now might be important in order to meet the needs of their business, not only from a technical standpoint, but maybe even from a value standpoint. And I wouldn't be surprised if employers are also going to start looking at ways to better invest in growing the skills of their talent, whether that's potential talent or internal talent.
Well, thank you so much, Leona. Really appreciate your insight and knowledge in this area, providing a guide for those watching or listening as they, close out 2025 and enter 2026 in the hopes of breaking into tech and finding a new career. So appreciate your time and sharing your advice and insights today.
Of course. Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate you having me and spotlighting everything that we do here at Fullstack Academy.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, to find out more, you can read Full Stack Academy reviews on Course Report. This interview was produced by the Course Report team in partnership with Full Stack Academy.